All right, so today we're diving into something pretty intense. We're going to be taking a deep dive into the Agni Puran.
Yes, exactly. We are one of the 18 Mahapuranas, and essentially the story of the knowledge given by Agni, the fire god, to the sage Vasistha.
And it's a lot more than just creation stories. It's got everything in it. We're talking about philosophy and rituals and kingship and health. I mean, you name it. Architecture, iconography, time. It's kind of like a blueprint for how to live a more conscious life. And we're going to be pulling out some of the key pieces today.
Yeah. Our mission in this deep dive is to extract those key insights, that core knowledge that you can actually apply to your life today.
Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. What are we looking at in terms of the format of this text? How does it get this knowledge across?
Well, the Agni Puran is in the form of a dialogue, much like this one. Agni is sharing this knowledge with the sage Vasisa, and it's over 15,000 verses long.
15,000 verses, so that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
How's it all organized? Is it all one big stream of consciousness, or is it broken down into different sections?
Well, it's divided up into multiple sections. You have sections on cosmology, the origins of the universe. You have sections on the duties of a king, how to lead with integrity. And you also have sections on spiritual practices, like yoga, tantra, and devotion.
So it's not just about reaching some kind of abstract spiritual goal. It also talks about how to actually function in a society and how to live a good life.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating is that it's interdisciplinary. You have ancient medicine, you have warfare strategies, you have legal principles, even temple construction and grammar.
Grammar. That's an interesting detail.
Yeah.
What does that tell us about the worldview that's being presented here?
Well, it really emphasizes the importance of a well-rounded life, that spirituality isn't separate from your daily life, your intellectual pursuits. It's all interconnected.
Now, this is where things get really interesting. The outline mentions stories that ignite the inner fire. What kind of stories are we talking about, and what makes them so powerful?
One of the most powerful stories is the story of King Harishchandra. And his story is all about truthfulness, his commitment to truth even in the face of unimaginable loss and hardship. And eventually, he achieves redemption through the grace of Agni. And this story is a symbol. It symbolizes that the trials we go through in life, the fire trials, can ultimately lead to purification and renewal.
So it's about holding on to your values even when everything seems to be falling apart.
Precisely. Another significant story is the legend of Dakshayagna, and this involves the self-immolation of Sati and the huge disruption that this caused in the cosmic order. And Agni plays a key role here. He's both a witness to these events and a transformer. He is, fire is this element that can consume, but it also purifies, it creates anew.
A witness and a transformer. Fire is this agent of change, even at the cosmic level. I like
Yeah.
that. And then there's mention of Vishnu's avatars. How do they tie into this theme of fire?
Well, the Agni Puran describes the different avatars of Vishnu, and the one that's particularly relevant here is Narasimha. And this is the fierce, fiery protector. And Narasimha embodies courage, right? And divine timing, knowing when to act decisively, and the power to overcome negativity, those inner demons that we all face. Sometimes you need that fire to really confront them.
So it's not just about literal fire, it's about that inner strength, that protective energy.
Exactly. And speaking of fire and form, the Puran also delves into the science of temple architecture, and it describes it as the spiritual geometry, a way of connecting with cosmic energy through shapes and through the element of fire itself.
Spiritual geometry, what does that mean in practice? How does fire play into the design of a temple?
So they would use precise calculations to determine the height of the temple, the orientation where it's facing in terms of the cardinal directions, and also the placement of yantras, these sacred diagrams. And the idea is that the temple itself becomes like a conduit for divine energy, harnessing the power of fire, both symbolic and energetic fire to create a resonance, spiritual resonance.
So we've got these ancient stories, we've got these architectural principles. How do we bring all of this into our modern lives? What are the spiritual lessons here for us?
That's the key question. And the symbolism of fire goes beyond the physical element. It represents willpower, transformation, burning away the old and embracing the new, and purification, on a mental and emotional level.
And in today's world, we could all use a little bit more of that, right? With all
Yeah.
the stress and the emotional baggage we carry around. What are some practical ways that we can ignite that inner fire?
You're absolutely right. In this age of mental fatigue and emotional toxicity, the Agni Puran offers some guidance. It talks about things like tapas, which is disciplined effort, pushing yourself, building resilience. Sadhana, which is consistent spiritual practice, whatever that might look like for you. Yajna, which is the concept of offering, sacrifice, offering your time, your energy, your ego for something bigger. And ultimately, self-awareness, understanding your own inner landscape. These are the ways you tend to that fire.
So it's about taking action. It's about making a conscious effort, not just passively hoping for the best.
Exactly. And a really important concept in the Agni Puran is Dharma, living in accordance with your responsibilities, acting righteously, being in harmony with the cosmos. And it's not about rigid rules, it's about understanding your place in the world and acting in a way that contributes to the well-being of all. Whether you're a leader, a student, a professional, a spiritual seeker, it applies to everyone.
Living in harmony with the cosmos. That feels very different from the way a lot of us live today.
It is. It's about recognizing that interconnectedness and acting in a way that promotes the flourishing of everyone, not just ourselves. And it also emphasizes the path of bhakti, devotion. And the idea here is that all those inner fires we ignite, through our efforts, through our actions, they're offerings. Offerings to the divine, however you may understand that.
Which brings us back to that Bhagavad Gita quote, right? Aham Vaishvanara Bhutva, which means I am the fire within all beings. That inner fire is a universal energy.
Yes. And the Agni Puran provides a framework for recognizing that fire, cultivating it, offering it, and ultimately living a more meaningful life.
So for you, the listener, what's the key takeaway from all of this? What's the one thing you should remember from this deep dive into the Agni Puran?
It's about consciously igniting your inner fire, not through fleeting emotions or external validation, but through clarity, devotion, and action. And what's amazing is that this ancient text is actually very relevant to our modern lives. It offers guidance for the challenges we face and the fulfillment we seek.
It seems like it could be helpful for so many different things, whether you're into yoga or you're trying to be a better leader or you're just looking for some inner peace.
Absolutely. It has something for everyone, no matter where you are on your journey.
So as we wrap up, here's something to think about.
Hmm.
How can you cultivate that inner fire in your own life starting today? What's one small step you can take to tap into that transformative power? Think about the Agni Puran's wisdom, the integration of the spiritual and the worldly, and how you can bring that into your own life. It's about recognizing that spark within you and fanning those flames so that you can illuminate your own path.
Absolutely.
All right, that's all the time we have for today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.